Hi Aquarius, welcome to your end of April 2020 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. Let's just see what's happening. Okay, I'm just going to get these other cards out of the way. Okay, so the heart of the matter is the Strength card. This is a card that connects to Leo, your opposite sign, but in general, you know, it's about obviously that ability to kind of hang in there and, you know, be strong for the moment, or regaining your strength in some area of life. It can even be physical, like the immune system becoming stronger. And so for people who have been under the weather, you may have noticed that you're feeling more vigorous, and that can make you feel like, you know, especially if you had been suffering from some kind of long-term illness and you start to recover. That can be what that's all about. In the past position, we have the Eight of Pentacles, and this is a card of, you know, putting your attention on your craft and trying to perfect it, whatever that is. That can even be like some sort of training that you receive that makes it so that you're able to have a better skill set, job kind of a thing. And if you're an apprentice, if you're somebody who is training in a program, that is also kind of similar to that. But even, you know, this is, I was reading not too long ago that this is also a great money card, you know, in terms of prosperity, in terms of, you know, monetary power. The number 8 is a number of power. And oh yeah, I didn't even make that connection. The Strength card is number 8, at least in this deck. In some decks, the Strength card is number 11 and the Justice card is number 8. And that's interesting because I can see both points of view in a sense. But in this deck, we've got these two 8s. And the higher message is the Ace of Swords. And this is about clarity of vision. And aces are kind of like the initiation of something. And for this particular card, it can be a new way of thinking about life. But you know, because of that, it can be, you know, doing things, initiating a project. It can be anything that you start, but it comes from that clarity of vision. So all three of those cards on top are very good cards because they speak about being empowered and having a vision of what you want. And I think those two things go hand in hand. And if this is somehow connected to like a relationship, I feel like you may have left a relationship, because with the Strength card, I think it's all about resisting the temptation to stay with somebody or go back to somebody who you tried, you know, the Eight of Pentacles, you tried to make it work, you know, put in your effort, and perhaps they were just unwilling to do their part, and you finally saw through that, you know, with the Ace of Swords, and it allowed you to be free to start a new path for yourself. You are swords all the earth signs are swords, Aquarius. So the Ace of Swords is in alignment with your element of air. And air is to me, there was a word that just came into my mind. Now I was going to say detachment, but it was actually discernment, I think, because the intellectual, analytical side that's able to kind of, in an intelligent way, make a choice that best suits you and not be swayed by sentiment, that type of manipulation of the emotions and things like that. I think that can really come into play. What crosses you is the High Priestess, and this is the more passive, the more be still and know type of vibe. Aquarius is a very intuitive sign, but this is also feminine, and I feel like perhaps you're in this masculine kind of a vibe where you're wanting to do, and you're not wanting to kind of just hang back and just chill at the moment. You're, with the Strength card and that thing, you may have gotten your mojo back, and now you don't want to kind of just be passive. You want to be active. And my feeling is that you can still be active and still meditate at the same time. As a matter of fact, I think one of the ways that people can connect to their higher self, strangely enough, is by walking. I think that I don't think that I've ever done anything where I'm just like really, trying to, disconnect from the world. But just the act of walking and with your own thoughts, sometimes transcending them, even though you're thinking, you just get into the movement of what, the journey and stuff, and your mind naturally quiets, and yet you're active at the same time. It may be that you are kind of rejecting that side of life altogether when you still can get in touch with it in a different sort of a way. Because when I look at that Strength card, I mean, it looks like that woman is wrestling the lion, and that doesn't look like somebody who is being very passive. It's kind of almost like if you felt as though you were suppressed in some way, that now you are kind of freed from that, and you are much more able to do what you feel like doing. What's coming in is represented by the Hierophant, and this is, again, the spiritual, but more of the conventional type of spirituality. To me, the High Priestess is more of the mystical, and the Hierophant is more of the dogmatic version of God, the do's and don'ts, the, what distinguishes one philosophy from another. And I think there's room for both of these things, because I think that there's something comforting about adhering to a belief system that has kind of definition to it. Sometimes when you get involved in quote-unquote spirituality, it's so open-ended that it can feel like, there are no absolutes, and that I think sometimes we crave that. It's like craving boundaries so that we have something to work with. We don't feel like we're totally out in the unknown. And the High Priestess is about the unknown, about that which we don't yet know. Maybe like truths that need to come out. So the Ace of Swords is about kind of uncovering truths and being more able to make change in your life because you know what's going on. But the High Priestess could suggest that there still are things that need to be figured out. And I'm trying to think. Let me think for a second. The sign right before you is Capricorn. So let me just say something timing-wise. In July 5th to be exact, there's going to be a lunar eclipse in Capricorn. Now, as you may know, there are so many planets transiting Capricorn at the moment, and by that time, I believe that Saturn will have retrograded back into Capricorn too. And then we have Jupiter there, we have Pluto, we have the, currently we have the South Node there, and I don't know if Mars might be in Aquarius by now, I've forgotten. But the point being that this is your 12th house, and so it may be that between now and July, you still feel like you're in the dark about something. Maybe most of it has been revealed, or you figured it out yourself just by the power of your intellect. However, that could be the final letting go of some of those half-truths or just falsehoods altogether, and that will release you, because the 12th house is about that which holds you back, that which that trips you up because you're in denial about it. The Ace of Swords is about not being in denial over something. So that might just be the final piece in the puzzle. And the outcome is the Two of Wands. You may have to decide whether or not you are willing to stay where you are, or whether you will thrive somewhere else. So I realize this has been kind of a strange reading, because I haven't really talked about it in terms of one particular area of life. And usually I do that, and I don't know why I'm doing it this way, but I feel like it's best to keep it open-ended, because there are so many things that the Strength card can represent. If you're somebody who's been going through a very stressful period, and you have, this has been your kind of like the dark night of the soul, and definitely because you're Aquarius and all those planets are in the 12th house, and Saturn has, hung out there for 2 years, 2+ years, or whatever it's, 2017, 2+ years. And Pluto, forget about Pluto, that's like really intense. It may have been something that has made you stronger, but in the meantime, it has been extremely challenging to you, because you feel like the High Priestess to me can also be about dreams. I don't know if that's true, like maybe prophetic dreams, and the 12th house is the house of dreams. So for some of you, if you have begun to be haunted by your dreams, or they've become like, maybe you weren't somebody who dreams, and then all of a sudden you start to have all these very intense dreams that seem like lucid dreaming type of things, and just things that are coming out, maybe even past life memories, or memories that have a traumatic connection that you had repressed. The Strength card is about kind of like being able to weather that storm, but it doesn't mean that everything has been purged. The Pluto in the 12th house is about purging karma. And to me, people really misunderstand what karma means. They think it means punishment, and it simply means action. And so for the more challenging past life experiences, yes, maybe they can influence this current reality, if only your attitudes towards it. But that doesn't mean that it has to haunt you, that it has to always affect you. So this is I think that the Strength card is a sign, as well as the Ace of Swords, is that you're making kind of headway. You're being able to, it's not like this situation where you're constantly putting out these psychic fires, if you will. And now you're kind of settling into understanding yourself better, maybe. With the High Priestess, maybe that grand finale of the last, I think that will be the last eclipse in Capricorn. So that will be the last in your 12th house for this particular cycle of eclipses with Cancer and Capricorn. And that will kind of release you from some of these things that may have been, you know, somewhat challenging. And Saturn is in your sign now. By the time of that eclipse, it will have gone back into Capricorn. But now you have it going into your first house. For sure in 2021, it will have left that 12th house forever. I mean, not forever, but, you know, for this particular transit of it. And then that should be a little bit more lighter because you have Jupiter in that house as well. So it's kind of a protective energy, Jupiter, to counter the more intense Pluto transit and Saturn transit. Okay, that's what I have for you, Aquarius. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a personal reading, please check my offerings. It's in the link below. Take care. Bye.